Adam, if industrial design was a famous voodoo donut, you would be the stomach-churning Pepto-Bismol infused cruller with Tum sprinkles.
Welcome to Engineer vs. Designer,
The podcast
for designers,
engineers,
makers, bakers, and people who are helping to create the smart home revolution. I am Adam.
And I'm Josh. This week we're speaking with the guys behind the design of the Canary, an IndieGoGo sensation and a multi-sensor home monitoring device that aims to replace existing home security systems.
Speaking of all things security, Josh,
Yes.
secure the windows of intelligence from the armed intruders of ignorance. What have you got for us this week?
This episode of Engineer vs. Designer is brought to you by Autodesk Fusion 360. Cat in the Cloud is real, and it's here. Get a free 90-day trial today at fusion360.autodesk.com. All right, so we're doing it again. A tweet for this episode has gone out. Anyone who retweets that message will be entered into a drawing for that sweet, cottony Engineer vs. Designer t-shirt.
Spread that love, people. All right,
Yep.
Let's do this thing.
Do it.
Okay, John and James, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. Before we get started, we do have a question that has been on our minds for you guys. If you could have your favorite food from your favorite chef on command for the rest of your life, but in order to have that privilege, all of your fingers would have to be an extra 6 inches long. Would you do that?
Oh, wow. What can I do with like 12-inch long fingers?
That's kind of creepy.
I would totally turn it down because I like to cook too much. You know, it's like
All right.
I feel like I would be a worse cook, and you know.
Right. What about you, James?
You know, if you think about it, I think that there may be some benefits to having 6-inch longer fingers than having them now. You know, aside from being alone for the rest of my life, I could probably play the guitar a lot better.
You could play several guitars at once, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clean your nostrils.
And then, you know, if I had the food from my favorite chef available at any time, I would probably get pretty morbidly obese. So really, you wouldn't even notice my finger length because it'd be so huge.
Morbidly obese.
All right, gentlemen. John and James
Well
of
played.
Canary. We want to get your plug in right off the bat. So for those who might not know, what is Canary and who might be interested in that?
Yeah, cool. Well, Canary is the world's first smart home security device, and it's for everyone. It's a single device. It's beautiful. It's packed with all kinds of sensors that you control from your smartphone. So no matter where you go, you have this device back at your house. You can pull out your phone. You can check in, see how things are going at home. You can receive alerts when something's wrong. And we call it a smart device because it learns sort of your patterns over time, so that it sort of knows what's normal for your home. So it knows when to send you alerts. So you get less false alarms. It's opening up home security for people that would never consider home security before because of installation or contracts. There's no installation. There's no contracts with Canary. It's just a simple device. You plug it in, you connect it to your home Wi-Fi, and you start using it immediately.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an amazing device. It's a beautiful design. We'll learn a little bit more about it, but first, John, what's your background and how did Canary get its start?
Sure, yeah. So I started as a graphic designer. I worked in-house at a couple places. I worked as an art director at a branding agency for a while doing client services. And after a little while, after a few years, I sort of decided that I wanted to move away from doing sort of work for other people or for other clients and have more of be closer to the product that I was working on or the brands that I was working on. So sort of moved into the startup world and more into product design, really. And I guess I've always been interested, even in all the projects I've worked on, I've been interested in working on things that sort of bridge online and offline experiences. So as opposed to just websites or just a web app or just a single thing. I like working on products or brands that, combine things that happen in real life versus in addition to what people are doing with the screen in front of them. So,
Nice.
so I met my co-founders, Adam and Chris. I guess I met Adam almost 2 years ago, and he'd been working in the security industry for more than a decade, not in home security, but doing other security for corporate clients. And Chris is just a crazy talented engineer. He's been building embedded systems for the U.S. military, and among other things. We kind of identified this need that exists out there. You know, a lot of us are renters, and we just don't have home security. And so Adam had this idea, and we came together as a team and started building it. We've been working on it for over a year now, and just barely launched.
And James, what about you? How did you get involved?
Yeah, so I've been doing industrial design now for probably about 6 years, and I've worked in a consulting environment and corporate environment, and I've designed or been involved in the design of a lot of different types of products at this point. I've worked on refrigerators, air conditioners, power tools, vacuum cleaners, everything. This was really my first smart home device. But I was introduced to Adam and Chris about a year ago, just through a friend of a friend. And I really liked, the idea that they had. I really liked their energy, and I thought it'd be a good idea to get involved. So, yeah.
Well, apparently you guys have done a really good job, because you set out initially on IndieGoGo with a goal of $100,000, which is pretty ambitious. I mean, that's obviously, that's real money. And then you ended up, as of this recording, you've raised well over $1 million, 10 times that.
$1 million. And you did it you reached 100,000 within that morning, right?
Yeah, it was really insane.
That's a huge number.
So did you how does that happen? Like, clearly you have to bust open the bubbly at some point, but I think after the first day you probably hadn't even bought it yet. It was like, somebody get me some champagne so I can crack it open.
It was wild. We knew people were gonna, we knew this was a real need and people were gonna be into this product, but the way that it kind of blew up right at the beginning, I guess I'll say it surprised us. It was even better than we expected. It was really exciting. We've been working we've been really kind of silent for like a year, just kind of heads down working on this product. We've done a couple hackathons and presented at a few meetups here and there, but other than that, it's been pretty under the radar. So we were there's a lot of build up for us internally to, okay, let's hit the button and go live and see what the public thinks. And it just it started to trickle in a little bit the first hour, and then people started talking about it online, and it just sort of
boom.
Yeah,
it was awesome. It's funny. Michael on our team here started doing like a little dance every time we hit a 10K mark,
and he ended up just dancing all day long, nonstop.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have a video of Adam doing a dance when we hit 100K. That needs to surface at some point.
I'd be doing flips, man. Dang. Oh, that's cool, guys. Now there's really the two big crowdsourcing sites out there, Kickstarter and IndieGoGo. I'm wondering, and I'm betting a lot of other makers, designers, engineers out there are also wondering, what are the benefits? What does IndieGoGo have going for it over Kickstarter?
Yeah, sure. Kickstarter and IndieGoGo are both awesome. Like we're active supporters on both platforms. We love both of them. We think crowdfunding really just as a method of raising money and getting the word out is really awesome. We ended up going with IndieGoGo, I guess, just because it's a little bit more. We feel like it's a little bit more hardware friendly, and they offer a little bit more flexibility in how you can set up your perks. It's a little bit better than Kickstarter in our minds on how you can set your perks. We felt like it would let us set perks that were a little bit more kind of give supporters what they want. You can have multiple products with one perk on IndieGoGo. So if people want to buy multiple or pre-order multiple Canaries as opposed to just one, you can do that through IndieGoGo.
Right.
So just felt right for us.
Now, let's back up just a second and talk about what got you here, because clearly this is, that moment where, this thing just explodes in one day is pretty exciting. But like you're saying, this was a slow burn project going for a year or more before that. What was that like? Can you tell us a little bit about the design process from when you first had the idea, and then how you kind of, I think a lot of people are interested in how you bring together a team and make that happen on a shoestring when you're basically bootstrapping it. What is that like?
Yeah. So this is James. So when I met Adam and Chris, they had a pretty good idea of what they wanted the product to be technically, but they didn't have an idea really what they wanted it to look like, right? So they had some sort of constraints that they wanted me to work around. They said, the device needed to be minimal, it had to be clean, it had to be beautiful. It's going to be on display in someone's home, so it has to look really good. So the first thing we honestly did, and this process was really collaborative. I worked pretty closely with these guys, kind of hashing out ideas. But the first thing we did is start gathering inspiration images. Just went online and started getting a lot of pictures of high-end audio equipment, some really nice sculptural like home appliances, and then some lighting and furniture examples that we like. And basically what we did is we hung all this stuff up on the wall, and we just started talking about different things we like about all these different objects. Then from there, I just started basically sketching like crazy, and every now and then I'd get 10 pages of thumbnail sketches, hang them up on the wall, and we'd all get together and kind of filter them out, and eventually we would start narrowing down our direction. Once we kind of narrowed this down, we shared it. We shared some concepts, with our immediate kind of friends and family. Got some opinions, and kept working through it. As far as making physical models go, it's a little bit more difficult to sort of find a shop to use when you're in New York City. Shop space is kind of hard to come by, but that's when a service kind of like Shapeways comes in really handy, because we can crank out some 3D models and get them 3D printed pretty cheaply and evaluate them that way, and it really goes a long way. So
right, of course.
Where we ended up was just this design that's really nice and clean, pretty universal. Got a lot of immediately good feedback, and we feel like it's something that you can have on your shelf out in the middle of your living room, and it's not going to sort of be too obtrusive.
I've noticed you have a full-on marketing campaign going as well. This is actually the first time I've seen this with a crowdfunded project. I notice ads coming up on various sites. So why did you decide to take that approach, and what's worked best for you there?
Yeah, cool. I like that you call it a full-on marketing campaign. It makes it sound cheap.
Quick, put some ads up.
Yeah, we just started doing Google AdWords. I guess that's what you're seeing. We just started putting those up a few days ago, just because there's a lot of people that we'd like to reach. I mean, we really think our target audience for this is almost, it's ridiculously huge. We really see that this being a product that literally everyone could use. So just trying to reach as many eyeballs as we can, try to get this out there and available to people. So,
well, and speaking of the number of eyeballs, you don't know how many people you're gearing up to serve right now, and that's one of the difficult things for everybody starting a new manufacturing business.
Yeah.
You guys want to manufacture 100,000 of these things because that's going to give you decent margins, and yet you don't know that you have 100,000 orders, I'm sure. So how are you navigating that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's obviously we know how many orders are coming in so far with the campaign, and I think we have like 5,000, around 5,000 devices that have already been pre-ordered, and we have projections, of what that number is going to hit before the end of the campaign, and then we'll be putting in an order, with the manufacturer shortly after that to kind of prep and try to get those initial pre-orders, in the hands of these people as soon as we can. And then there's a lot of projections that we can do and sort of guess what those numbers are going to be, but our hopes are really high, and our sights are really high, and kind of see what happens as we go and adjust our orders and everything accordingly.
Yeah.
But you're right, like our our goals are really big. We really see this in millions and millions of homes.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt. Now, along with the physical device, we have you also have an app in development too that works along with it, and that's apps are just becoming a large part of our user experience, our everyday lives, and especially for smart home products. So, how did you guys approach the app design along with the product design there of the Canary? Did one start before the other, or is that working together? How's that happening?
Right. Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, they definitely work together. It's, I mean, I think that when we talk about like a user experience for a product like this, it's pretty expansive because it's when anytime you're dealing with, I guess, a hardware product that has both a hardware and software component to it. So there's the actual device that sits in your home, and there's the app, like you mentioned, and then there's the experience of opening the product. There's the software on the back end that's kind of making it all work, and none of these single components is the product. It's all of those things together are the product. So it's sort of, I mean, I think of it as an example of like emergence in product design, right, where the sum of all these things is actually better, like greater than each of those components. But to answer your question, I mean, we began visualizing the experience of this product before anything else, right? Which we knew would include the app as well as the device itself. So we sort of would storyboard out and visualize what is this whole experience going to be for the person that plugs this thing into their home, goes on vacation, or just goes out throughout their life throughout the day, pulls out their phone, checks on things. Think through what that experience is going to be, and then design both the hardware and the mobile app to best accommodate a good experience. And so, the cool thing about designing apps or any UI is that you can iterate on it endlessly and forever.
Right.
So, James has this job of having to really nail what he's doing, and then we're going to, produce thousands and hundreds of thousands of them. Whereas,
it's hard to release service packs for your hardware. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but with the app itself, we started early, and we're still working on it, and we'll continue to work on it. Just continue to iterate on it, on and make it better, and incorporate user feedback. And we're doing alpha testing now. We'll be doing beta testing in the coming months, and then even once the product is out, we'll be hearing user feedback and continuing to make the app better.
Well, and so
it's a big part of the experience.
So as you work on this alpha testing, you have to, I mean, surely there are some good stories. Do you have any favorite stories that alpha testers have run into as they're using Canary? The pizza delivery guy getting called the cops or whatever, who knows?
Any crazy stories? Not really. We should totally start a blog for crazy stories as they start to come in.
I mean, but that does raise a question for me. This is a question that popped into my head immediately because of the hacker conferences that have just been all over the news this month. People hacking into Priuses and self-driving them and doing all these different crazy things. One wonders if this device has such unfettered access to information about your comings and goings and how your home works. It really knows you in a very intimate way. There is kind of an inherent security risk there. How are you guys mitigating that?
Sure. I mean, well, first of all, we take security extremely seriously, obviously, and privacy, and that's a part of every discussion we have, and huge consideration in every decision we make in the product is making sure that it's going to be secure and private. And really, this is Canary is about putting individuals in control of their own security and empowering people to kind of own that themselves. So I think of Canary as sort of an extension, like the way I would use it and the way I think people will use it is, we should think of it as an extension of yourself, right? So Canary is only gathering as much information as you want it to. You control it with your phone. You turn sensors on and off when you want to. You don't store data if you don't want to store it. You can kind of use that as a way to be empowered as opposed to it's normal maybe to have these sort of fears like, oh well, this thing is learning about me, but it's really you kind of learning about yourself and then being empowered to be alerted when things are wrong and to just be safer all around.
Having had security systems before, it's going to impact the security industry big time. I'm wondering how you guys think this is going to change home security and what kind of capabilities you can see in future Canary products.
Sure. I mean, it's definitely going to change the security industry. It's I mean, one way of saying that, obviously, just making it available to millions of more people who rent or whatever and just haven't ever thought of the home security industry as something they're at all interested in. But even people that have been using security, other types of systems, I think they're going to find that Canary is actually an option that's going to fit better into their lives and offer even a better product than what they've used before. As far as like our roadmap, there's a lot of things we want to do. Right now, we're just focused on this one device and kind of making this experience the best it can be. There's a lot of things that we can do. There's a lot of requests that have already been coming in of like things to add to the product, which is something it's funny when people come in with requests, especially when we're just taking pre-orders at this point. No one's actually using it yet. There's so many good ideas, and we love that, getting like feedback and ideas from the people and from our community, and all of those things kind of come into our process, and we inform our product decisions based on the feedback that we're hearing and the suggestions that come in. But you also have to sort of balance that against not complicating the product, and keeping it simple. So there's a lot we want to do over the coming years, but right now we're just going to focus on sort of this one problem and making the experience as simple and as good as it can be.
Now, I know that a lot of folks out there listening to this are fellow makers and designers and engineers and people who have ideas of things they might want to bring to market. And I have a specific question for you this time about your process. You're developing an electronic product that has wireless capabilities, meaning that you have to deal with UL regulations and industry standards and FCC approvals and all this kind of stuff if you want to go to mainstream market with this. How do you deal with that? Big companies are set up for that, but how have you guys navigated that whole litigious system?
That's a great question. How I deal with it personally is I tell one of my partners to deal with it.
All right,
that's a good way to go.
I mean, James and I don't really handle that much of stuff, that much of that stuff as much.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
But Chris, Chris and Adam on the team who aren't on the call now, I know that those are headaches and problems that they have to solve as far as dealing with a lot of the, like you mentioned, regulations or certifications and things like that, that are huge issues with the product that we're building. And there's a lot to be solved, and we're solving it.
Yeah. No, obviously you are. I didn't mean to catch you off guard there, but I just think that's one of the many things that I think these young companies with big dreams run into, or these kinds of realities. So what kind of examples could you give of something that has been difficult for you guys and how you've overcome it?
Well, I was also going to say that I think a lot of it has to, I guess is maybe advice, is that it comes down to who you partner with also. Like there's a lot of things that we haven't necessarily done before. Like none of us have actually brought a I think this is true except for James, I guess. But we haven't brought a hardware product to market yet. So it would be probably wouldn't be smart of us to try to go into this and do it all ourselves. So we partner with people who have done this before. We're working with some former IDEO guys that are helping us work all the mechanical and electrical engineering kinks out to make sure that the way it's built is
gotcha.
They brought hundreds of products to market, and so it's kind of working with people that have expertise in these areas and not being naive about being able to do everything yourself, but instead collaborating and finding people that can help.
That's really good advice, actually.
Very good. You definitely would not want me doing your electrical engineering because things would probably catch on fire, and that wouldn't be good.
Right. We avoid that. Okay, so one last thing before we let you guys go. John and James, where can people find out more about Canary and get involved?
Yeah, they can. Everyone can go to our website, which is canary.is, and or you can go straight to our IndieGoGo page, which just go to IndieGoGo and search for Canary, and you'll find us. We just appreciate any support. You can obviously pre-order a device while our campaign's still running. There's just a few weeks left, or you can even just be a smaller supporter and get updates as the campaign goes along. And we're just building this community, and we'd like to have anyone and everyone involved.
Excellent.
Excellent, guys.
All right, gents.
Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks again. This has been great. You guys are doing an amazing thing. I'm really blown away by what you guys are doing.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having
Awesome.
us.
We appreciate it.
Well, I just might have to head over to IndieGoGo and get myself, Josh, one of them canaries.
Already did it.
Josh, having John and James on this show today was even more gooder than that time we went to the aquarium and you got stuck in that octopus.
What is that?
Yeah, like got all wrapped around you and you fell over and it was a mess.
I gnawed right through its arms. To please address oxygen tanks to Josh at EVD.
And if you'd like to send us tickets to your favorite aquarium, please address those to Josh as well. Let us know what you think, who you want to see on the show, and what your favorite mythical sea creature is at EngineerVsDesigner.com or on the EVD YouTube and or Vimeo channel.
And if you'd like to see us swimming in a shark tank wrapped in raw meat, be sure to like us, plus one us, tweet us, or whatever else says social media has been correlated with beating back the continuous attacks of large seven-gilled water beasts.
Have they? The show was edited by the masterful Simon Martin. If you love our taste in music and need some more help to propel you through the work week, be sure to check out our new playlist on SolidSmack Radio every Tuesday at solidsmack.com.
And we'll see you next week. And remember, without engineers, designers would still be debating the meaning of take it apart and fix it.
And without designers, engineers would get bored with not having anything to fix.
Oh, slap.
Oh, I just slapped myself. I can't say that. Take that out. I can't say I just slapped myself. I don't know. Can I say that?
A production of EVD Media.